Hi everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Sane Gamer. I'm your host, Michelle Madison. This show is free on our Video Game Outsiders app, which you can find on iTunes and Google Play. And if you download it, you'll have access to this show and a bunch of others. And if you enjoy it, feel free to support and subscribe, and you get also a lot of bonus content as well. I've also been thinking about putting this show on YouTube. So I want to talk tonight about some other stuff that's been bothering me throughout the week, of course, and maybe some of you guys as well. I had actually a little sort of Twitter chat going with Mark Kern, who's a former game developer at Blizzard. Now he's moved on to other stuff. But anyway, he's like actually a sane voice in the gaming industry, which is really rare to see, especially from companies and developers. And I tweeted him because he was talking about sort of the Mass Effect debacle and the animations, and, you know, that kind of was feeling like you were forced to kind of be an ugly female character. And if you haven't checked it out, you know, they kind of modeled the male character in the game after the male actor, and it looks just like him, and he's super attractive. And the female character is just this beautiful woman, Jade, and they kind of turned her into an asymmetrical, kind of dumpy, kind of looking freak in the game. And then upon character creation, Mark was noticing that it was kind of hard to make an attractive female, and that's something he kind of wants to do in games. So I tweeted him and I said, "Thank you for being a sane voice in the industry. I don't want to be forced to create and play as a female character who looks worse than I do in real life. Because to me, it's not just about creating myself and wanting the character to look like me when I am actually doing a character creation. I want to be like the best version of myself. Like, you know, I don't want to look like me when I'm sick in bed and I look like I've had the flu and I've been barfing. I want, like, you know, the Michelle that really looked great that day, right? Because this is like just like when you pick a yearbook photo, right? When you were younger, you don't pick the worst photo, you pick the best photo. Or you try to pick, if you're into Instagram and stuff, I'm not, you try to pick probably your best photo there too. It's the same thing when you're creating your character for video games. So I wanted to kind of make myself but better, Maybe my character has better eyebrows than I do. She's got a really good arc in her brow. I mean, these are the things girls think about. But anyway, it was kind of impossible to make these characters. And he wrote back to me on Twitter and he said, "But according to doctrine, you are not real. Real people can't look like you." And I guess he was saying attractive females aren't supposed to play games, and they aren't supposed to want to play games, and they aren't supposed to want to play attractive creatures in games, which is just not true. I mean, it's human nature to want symmetry, to want to look at beauty, and there's nothing wrong with it. And yeah, sometimes we all make funny abomination characters as jokes, and that should totally be available to you as well. And maybe you are not stereotypically beautiful, but you're beautiful in another way, and you still want to be able to create your character, right? You should have that freedom as well. When it comes to character creation, I don't feel like you should be pigeonholed into trying to make it attractive or trying to make it ugly. I think there should be more of a freedom. He was kind of giving them tips as to like what was going on. He said like the eyes were all bulbous and sticking out, and they were just terrible animations kind of mixed with this. Are they really trying to make the female characters ugly? Like, is there an agenda going on? Kind of seemed weird because with the dudes, it wasn't the same way. So that was kind of an interesting thing going on this week. D. Schlitz was also talking about this on our VGO Reddit, which you can find at reddit.com/VGO podcast. So, this was a topic that a lot of our listeners were talking about as well. Something I just saw was an article that said that the Yooka-Laylee developers have ditched JonTron's voice acting over his personal political, what they're calling sexist and racist opinions. Now, correct me if I'm wrong about this guy. I'm not that familiar with him. From what I understand, he's not white even. I'm not really sure what he is, but people were saying he's not even all white or he's not even white. But apparently, from what I got looking at some of the comments he made, and once again, I have not seen all of them. I did not watch his long interview. But generally what I've been seeing from him just seems like he's a typical, maybe perhaps Republican or Trump supporter, or maybe someone who's concerned about immigration, which I don't think necessarily makes you racist. I mean, it might, depending on the person. It very well may not. So if these are just his political beliefs and these are just his concerns, unless he's outright spewing, kill all of this group or that, to have him drop from a game and then to say, we shouldn't watch his YouTube or anything like that, just once again seems like an agenda. I think let people sort this sort of stuff out for themselves, right? Like if people are watching his channel and what he's saying doesn't resonate with them, then they are free to unsub. It's not some big conspiracy. Not everything is sexist and racist. Maybe the guy really is. I don't know him, and I'm not about to label him with that. Unless he's coming out and actually physically harming other races or sexes or something like that. if he just has views that I may not agree with, I'm adult enough to be able to say, well, I don't want to hear this today. Maybe I won't watch his show tonight, or maybe I'll unsub because he's really too far off for me. I don't need to read that, he's been dropped from everything he's ever done. And that's how you force people to control people to just adhere to what you believe. And that itself is ironically what not the Nazis did. The Nazis weren't for free speech, okay? They wanted you to adhere to what they believed, or you got shut down and silenced and threatened and everything else. And that's how you create this sort of society where we're all thinking the same way. So, let the idiots, if they're really idiots, then come out and voice their idiotic opinions, and then let the people judge that. Don't tell us what we should and shouldn't believe. So I thought that was kind of just stupid and unfortunate. But once again, I don't know everything he's ever said. But from what I saw, I didn't see anything that would really label this man as an evil, murderous racist. But once again, your mileage may vary, and that's up to you. I wanted to also quickly mention another Reddit thing. Check out KotakuInAction if you like this sort of stuff and these sort of topics. I've been recently checking this out more since I started doing this show. There's a lot of interesting things that these people find over there and that they're talking about, things that you wouldn't even believe that go on in the gaming industry, and also some stories that are kind of funny and make you laugh. I guess Japanese company Samurai Buyer got called racist on Twitter, and then they made a response video. This is once again more of this what we're seeing like with the West versus the East, especially Japan. Like they have their culture and their views, and they're not as politically correct as we are, and they seem to own it a bit more. So it's kind of, I get a chuckle out of seeing stuff like that, because in the American culture and Canadian culture, and I think a lot of the European countries, especially Sweden and stuff like that, there, things that are considered sexist and racist over there and over here are very different. And I don't like the way our culture in America, which is the culture of free speech, is trying to choke us all out to be these humorless sacks of shit. So check out and sub at KotakuInAction and support what they're doing over there if you really do like this sort of stuff. Also posted on our Video Game Outsiders Reddit from a listener was something about Horizon Zero Dawn and how it's being called sexist, I guess, because her eyebrows were too perfect. Now, this was a joke I kind of made at the start of the show, but I really don't pay attention to characters' eyebrows that hardcore. I mean, I might see that those look good or those look bad, but I would never think that it was sexist. But apparently her brows are too perfect, and there are some people who are concerned that is a sexist act because real women don't look that way. And there are other people have said it's sexist for other reasons that I don't even want to get into. But Horizon Zero Dawn to me was like the opposite of sexist. It was obviously a, quote, strong female character who was pretty badass and, quote, didn't need no man to kick ass and pretty much forced you to play as a woman, right? So I don't get the sexist thing going on from there. And I don't even think she was gorgeous. To me, I thought she was a little funny looking. When I first played the game, I was like, this character's... Did they make her a little tomboyish, ugly on purpose? And maybe that's okay. Maybe I always want to be pretty in games. I'll get used to it. I'll live. I'm not boycotting the game. I'm just saying I didn't feel that. I didn't think she was like the perfect female specimen when I saw that game. I was like, well, she's no Lara Croft. And, growing up as a little girl, I loved Tomb Raider. And I never once said, geez, I have to look like Lara Croft. I better make sure I have pointed tits and wear short shorts. That just stuff didn't go through my mind. I guess because I was raised properly and I was an intelligent little girl. But, they act like it's such pressure on little girls to look this way. And I think it's all just bullshit. It's all just created to kind of make a big stink out of nothing. Also wanted to talk about something that Jason sent me. And he said, Michelle, I agree with your Sane Gamer episode. I'm a millennial. I'm 24, turning 25, and I can't stand other millennials. They're lazy, and they feel like everything should be handed to them. I argue daily with them. I work 2 full-time jobs, one in a retirement community and the other as an EMS. I go to school full-time as well, and I manage to juggle all of that, a personal life with a relationship, and my gaming. Wow, that's a lot of stuff to juggle, Jason. Good job, because I couldn't do that. So when a millennial says they are entitled, I have big issues. Plus, comedy is being ruined. I totally agree with this. I just watched a great comedy special last night called Elephant in the Room with Patrice O'Neill. Now, he passed away, but this was the last special he did before he died. It's really funny, and he gets into some of this sexist, racist shit, and it's fucking hilarious, and I would love to hear what this guy had to say if he were still around. Obviously, same thing with Carla and stuff like that, but Patrice was really good, and he talked about this sort of stuff in a way that was hilarious, and these days, it would be driving people crazy, and I have a feeling he would not back down. He'd still be doing his brand of comedy. I also watched a Chappelle show's, not Chappelle's show, Of course, I love Chappelle's show, which once again wouldn't have flown today either. But Dave Chappelle just had Netflix comedy specials. And yeah, he kind of touched on it a little bit. Some of the audience members were looking very uncomfortable in the crowd. You know, you could tell, like, do I laugh at this? He said rape. He said Cosby rape. I don't know if I should laugh at this. It's like, it was kind of sad. But, you know, I have to say that Patrice O'Neal special was way better than that Chappelle special. Like, it's really, really good. So I think it's free on YouTube. Or if you want to support the guy's family or whoever owns his stuff, go buy it somewhere. Because it's called Elephant in the Room. And it was really, really fucking funny. I had a good time laughing at it. So Sean and a bunch of other people were telling me about Anita Sarkeesian saying Zelda was sexist and needed to be fixed. I kind of have a problem with this as well. Because I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, of course. And there is this town where you have to dress as a woman to get in, and all women run it, and all women are in control. There's a female queen, and if anything, that seems kind of weird for little boys to maybe kind of think about. Like, well, why can't I get into this town? This is a female-only town, and only women are in the town, and I have to dress as a girl to get in. So I don't know. You know, I would think that these people would be celebrating this, right? Like, if another game did this, maybe they'd say this is great for transgender rights, or this is great to, you know, for women. It just seems like very weird that they're calling it sexist. Why? Just because Zelda gets rescued? I mean, let's just be real, first of all. Men sometimes rescue women. I hate to break it to society, but they are majority police officers, firemen, military. That's not saying there's not women doing these things. And, you know, they have to rescue men too sometimes. But, you know, sometimes a dude has to rescue his girlfriend from who knows what, another angry drunk at the bar, or, you know, something else happening. Like, men sometimes rescue women, and there's nothing wrong with men wanting to feel powerful and feeling good about themselves. But that's not even going on in Zelda. These are little cartoon character kids, and it was just some cute little story that's always been around. And, you know, you used to be able to play as Zelda in other games, and I don't think there's this big sexist thing going on. If anything, like I said, the thing that struck me very odd was the fact that there was this female-only town, and you got to dress as a chick to get in, and it kind of seemed weird the other way. But once again, I'm not going to make a stink out of that either. I don't care. Like, you know, if it kind of worked with the story. I kind of felt like, this kind of fit. It didn't seem like it took me out of it or anything. I kind of felt like, okay, maybe this exists, right? There are societies maybe where women are a bit more empowered than other societies. So that was kind of fun. Also wanted to give a thank you to Mark and Garrett and Mike for the encouragement for doing this show. They said that they downloaded the app just to check this out. So I definitely appreciate that as well. And you can download our app, like I said, on iTunes and Google Play. Just search for Video Game Outsiders. And if you have a problem finding the specific episodes of what you want, there's like a search box in the app. So you can search Sane Gamer, and these will all come up. Or you can search Video Game Outsiders, or, Blank Extra, which is another show we do. And you could search for Love It, Hate It. You could search for John's show, because there's a bunch of shows on our app. So just use that little search tool, and it'll help you kind of narrow down and favorite what you're looking for on that particular day, or what you're in the mood for. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on every week, and some stuff that I've missed in the past. I know PAX East had a bunch of social justice warrior, politically correct bullshit people were showing me. Apparently there was this big poster going around, an event for safe space for black girl gamers. And they had like Diva from Overwatch drawn up as a black African character, almost like a silhouette. But it almost looked like it had an Adam's apple in the picture. I mean, Google this, PAX East safe space for black girl gamers. It was that's wordy. That's a lot of specifics. Safe space, black girl gamers. I'm surprised they didn't tack on like with autism and, a broken home. I don't think we want that, like safe space for black girl. What is it, a war zone for them? I don't get this. Let's not look for this shit where it doesn't exist, please. If anything, let's get more people into gaming. Let's not segregate them. Let's not say this is a game for little black girls, this is a game for white boys. What are you talking about, a safe space? What games are you looking for? So there's just a lot of crap going on, and it's been showing up at these conventions, and that's really bothering me, because it's less about like the games and what's happening, and more about these political causes that just infect everything and have no business in our hobbies. And then finally, I want to talk about Wonder Woman and some promo pictures that came out. And I just want to remind you guys that there's people out there who think like this. Now, some of these were just tweets, and then a couple of blogs online and places that I won't mention made articles about them. But so some of the tweets were saying, wow, I really wish she had underarm hair. And, oh, those underarms look too perfect. But if you go back and look at the comic book Wonder Woman and Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, there was never any, Amazonian armpit hair. This is a badass superhero. I was thinking, if I could have like special powers, that would be one of the first things I would do. If I have some magnetic fucking whip or whatever the hell she's got and all these other things, like I'm going to definitely laser off my hair. Like, sorry, I'm not going to want armpit hair. Who knows what she did, but her armpits look shaven and so do most women's, right? So they said it was way too photoshopped, way too clean, or the actress's armpits were too clean, and everybody was saying, I really want her to have armpit hair. Like, what are you talking? Wonder Woman has always been an attractive feminine character. I mean, like I said, if you look at Linda Carter, which everybody was saying, oh, she's the perfect Wonder Woman, her arms were still like the size of toothpicks. That's all I think the shit Gal Gadot got was kind of weird because she's a beautiful woman and she packed on a lot of muscle weight and her arms are actually bigger than Linda Carter's now. But, even drawn in the comics, yes, she had some muscles, probably more like a Gina Carano body, but Gina Carano can't act, so we definitely don't want that. But Wonder Woman was never drawn with hairy armpits like a wolf man. So what are these people talking about? And why would you want that character? Is that something you want to see? What does that do for you? What does that prove for you? I know women have armpit hair that naturally grows out, but society has decided that that's uncleanly and just distasteful, and I'm kind of on board with it. You could say whatever you want. Maybe you're angry at me because you're a woman who doesn't shave her legs or arms, but I don't particularly like that, and would never think to want to see that on a character, even a male character when he's fighting. I don't want some massive like bush coming out of the dude's arms. I don't see that when Thor is fighting with his hammer. So I definitely don't want to see it on a beautiful woman like Wonder Woman, who also has a lot of scenes where she's wearing evening gowns and things like that. That's a bit awkward. Might get caught in the caviar or the wine or whatever they're drinking. So, yep, like I said, it affects comic book stuff too. It's affecting everything, and it's just unfortunate. So, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Coastal Michelle and at VGO Podcast. If you want to check out my other stuff, please do get the Video Game Outsiders app and subscribe and support the shows. And I appreciate you checking the show out as well. So, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.